If I offered you two properties in the Golden Triangle, one in Quinta do Lago, the other in Vilamoura, which one would you say is the lower risk investment? Most buyers answer that question almost immediately, and they usually follow the same line of thinking. The more prestigious address, the safer the investment. At first glance, that seems perfectly logical, but it assumes that prestige and investment quality are the same thing. They are not. Prestige helps you buy a property. Liquidity helps you sell one. And over the long run, those can be two very different things. Today, I want to rank the 4 major markets of the Golden Triangle. Not by luxury, price, or exclusivity, but by something professional investors rarely overlook. Liquidity. Not simply where the property can be sold. Every property can be sold. The more useful question is who is likely to buy it, how many buyers genuinely exist, and how much flexibility you retain if your circumstances change. We'll compare Quarteira, Vilamoura, Vale do Lobo, and Quinta do Lago using 3 structural measures: liquidity depth, buyer pool strength, and exit risk. Because once you understand those 3 variables, you stop asking which area is best and start asking which market am I actually buying into. In the previous video, I argued that Vilamoura can't really be analyzed on its own. Its strengths only become clear when you understand the markets around it. Because the Golden Triangle isn't one market. It's 4 neighboring markets that operate quite differently. Capital flows differently, demand behaves differently, liquidity behaves differently. That means 2 very similar properties can carry very different investment risks, simply because they are located in different markets. That's what we are going to unpack. When people hear the word liquidity, they often think, can I sell it? That's only part of the story. A better question is, who will buy it from me? And under what conditions? Liquidity has 3 components. The first is depth. How many qualified buyers genuinely exist for that type of property? The second is buyer pool strength. Does demand come from one narrow group or from several independent groups? And finally, there's exit risk. If the market weakens and you need to sell, how much negotiating power do you still have? Because every property can be sold. The real question is how much flexibility you retain when circumstances change. Let's start with Quarteira. Ironically, the least prestigious market in this comparison has one of the strongest liquidity profiles. The reason is quite simple. Demand comes from a wide range of buyers. Portuguese families, international purchasers, rental investors, retirees, holiday home buyers, people relocating permanently. Different budgets, different motivations, different time horizons. That diversity creates resilience. If one buyer group becomes less active, another often remains. Quarteira isn't supported by a single investment narrative. It's supported by multiple sources of demand. And from a liquidity perspective, that's a real strength. Vilamoura sits in a particularly interesting position. Its buyer pool isn't as broad as Quarteira's, but it's considerably wider than the ultra-prime markets. It attracts investors alongside lifestyle buyers, golfers, second home owners, international families, retirees, and an increasing number of professionals who divide their time between Portugal and elsewhere. But there's another advantage that's often overlooked: internal liquidity. Many owners don't leave Vilamoura. They stay within the market. They upgrade, they downsize, they move from apartments into villas, or from older properties into newer developments. That creates transaction volume even when fewer completely new buyers are entering the market. It's one of the reasons Vilamoura has remained structurally liquid across multiple market cycles. Now the balance begins to change. Vale do Lobo is fundamentally a scarcity market. Supply is limited. The brand is well established. The product is distinctive. Those are genuine advantages. But scarcity naturally narrows the buyer pool. Transactions happen less frequently, not because demand disappears, but because fewer buyers can participate at these price levels. This is an important distinction. Scarcity often supports prices. It doesn't automatically create liquidity. Those are two very different circumstances. Quinta do Lago pushes that dynamic even further. It's one of Europe's premier luxury residential markets. Its reputation is exceptional. Its scarcity is undeniable. But structurally, it also has the narrowest buyer pool in this comparison. Its buyers are typically ultra-high net worth individuals, international entrepreneurs, and family offices managing substantial private wealth. Those buyers certainly exist, but they are highly selective. When confidence is strong, competition can be intense. When uncertainty increases, transaction activity naturally slows because the pool itself is much smaller. That's not a weakness, it's simply how ultra-prime markets behave. So, how do these markets compare? If we are looking purely at liquidity depth, the ranking is surprisingly straightforward. Quarteira, Vilamoura, Vale do Lobo, Quinta do Lago. That doesn't mean Quarteira is the best investment. It simply means it has the broadest and most resilient buyer base. Now introduce another variable, scarcity, and the picture changes. Quinta do Lago rises to the top. Vale do Lobo follows. Vilamoura sits somewhere in the middle, balancing scarcity with relatively broad liquidity. Quarteira offers exceptional liquidity, but comparatively less scarcity. So which market is best? That's still the wrong question. Every one of these markets represents a different balance between liquidity, scarcity, and risk. This is where sophisticated investors tend to think differently. They don't just ask, which property is likely to appreciate the most? They also ask, what happens if my plans change? Because eventually they do. Markets change, families change, strategies change. Liquidity creates optionality, and optionality reduces risk. That's why exit risk deserves just as much attention as future appreciation. An investment isn't defined only by how you enter, it's also defined by how easily you can leave. This is why comparing the golden triangle purely by prestige misses the point. Quarteira isn't trying to be Quinta do Lago. Vilamoura isn't trying to be Vale do Lobo. Each market occupies a different structural position. Each attracts different buyers, and each behaves differently as market conditions change. Once you understand that, you are no longer comparing locations. You are comparing different types of risk. In the previous video, we asked whether Vilamoura was worth buying into in 2026. The conclusion wasn't simply that Vilamoura is a good or bad investment. It was that its strengths only become clear when you understand the wider golden triangle. Hopefully this video has provided that context. In the next episode, we'll look at the markets that often surprises sophisticated investors the most. The investment case for Quarteira. Because despite receiving far less attention than its neighbors, Quarteira has structural characteristics that many buyers underestimate. And for the right investment strategy, those characteristics can make it one of the Algarve's most compelling property markets. So I'll leave you with one final question. When you buy property, are you buying prestige or are you buying the flexibility of your future exit?